We live in a world that seems certain, predictable, structured. The contours of life, our routines, the patterns of our thoughts, the roles we play, are often taken for granted, as though they were etched into stone. But what if everything you thought you knew about yourself, your identity, and the very fabric of reality was only a surface layer, a fleeting glimpse of something far grander? What if you, as you are right now, are not who you think you are, and in fact, you are so much more? Imagine the universe as a vast, boundless ocean. Every drop of water, every ripple on the surface, represents a fragment of the infinite potential that flows through existence. You, like every person, are but a single drop. Yet that drop carries with it the essence of the entire ocean. In the same way, you are not merely the identity you've constructed through time, your name, your job, your history. These are merely echoes of the deeper current that connects you to the infinite. This exploration is not about self-improvement in the conventional sense. It's not about polishing the surface to make it shinier, or modifying the edges to fit some external standard. Instead, it's about peeling back the layers, uncovering the veils of illusion that obscure the vastness of your true nature. It's about remembering what has always been hidden beneath the skin of your existence, what has always been a part of you, waiting to be realized. What we call you is far more intricate, interconnected, and boundless than the confines of time, space, and identity allow us to comprehend. To embark on this journey is to step into the unknown, not with fear, but with the curiosity of a child who, for the first time, beholds the stars in their full brilliance. This is not simply a spiritual or intellectual exercise. It is a cosmic awakening, a return to the source. It is an invitation to leave behind the safety of the known and enter the realm of uncharted possibilities, where the boundaries between self and universe begin to dissolve, and you realize, perhaps with a jolt of recognition, that you were never separate to begin with. The idea that you are not who you think you are suggests a truth both terrifying and exhilarating, that everything you have been taught, everything you believe about yourself and the world around you, is part of a construct. It's a model that exists to help you navigate this life, but it is not the entirety of who you are. Your thoughts, emotions, and sense of self are merely fragments of a much deeper, more profound truth. What you see with your physical eyes, what you hear with your ears, what you touch with your hands, these are all simply reflections of the underlying tapestry of reality. A canvas painted with light and shadow, woven together by unseen forces, timeless in nature, yet ever-changing. In the grand scheme of existence, who you truly are extends far beyond the limits of what you have learned to perceive. Your true identity is not bound by your physical body, your past experiences, or the small circle of relationships you have formed in this lifetime. It is, instead, woven from the very fabric of consciousness itself, limitless, boundless, eternal. You are a vessel for the great unfolding of the cosmos, and you have merely forgotten the depth of your connection to it. It's easy to forget, isn't it? The pulse of the universe is subtle, and the distractions of the material world can drown out its resonance. We often become so ensnared by our thoughts, our worries, and our perceived limitations that we lose sight of the expansive truth waiting just beyond the veil of our awareness. But deep inside, a stirring remains, a quiet calling, a whisper that echoes through your soul, telling you that you are more than the sum of your parts. What if I told you that you are a spark of the divine, a reflection of the cosmos, a soul on a journey not just through this life, but through the very matrix of existence itself? Would you believe me? Could you even comprehend what that means? For the answer is hidden not in the mind, but in the heart, the soul, and the depths of your being. To truly understand who you are is to transcend the illusion of separateness and embrace your true nature as part of an infinite, interconnected whole. This journey of discovery is not an easy one. It requires you to look beyond the narrow confines of the ego, to step outside of the box that you've built around yourself. It asks you to challenge everything you've ever believed to be true about your life, your identity, and your purpose. But if you are willing to take this leap, if you are ready to open your eyes to the boundless possibilities that lie before you, then the world will transform in ways you never thought possible. In the next sections of this exploration, we will dive deep into the core themes and concepts that reveal the nature of who you truly are. We will venture into allegories and symbolic narratives that illuminate the hidden truths of existence. We will also explore how these ancient teachings can be practically integrated into everyday life, transforming the way you experience the world. Finally, we will conclude with a transformational call, one that urges you to take this knowledge and apply it, not just for personal growth, but for the awakening of humanity itself. To begin unraveling the profound truth that you are not who you think you are, we must first explore the very fabric of reality itself, where layers of illusion and truth intertwine. At the heart of this journey lies the realization that the world as we know it, the world we see with our eyes, hear with our ears, and touch with our hands, is a mere projection of a far deeper, more intricate reality. What we call reality is not fixed, not absolute. It is a canvas painted by our perceptions, beliefs, and the energy that flows through us. To understand who you truly are, you must first acknowledge that the nature of reality itself is a fluid, ever-changing tapestry. This idea, that reality is not what it seems, forms the cornerstone of our exploration. In many ways, we live as prisoners of our perceptions, locked in a cage of sensory input, conditioned beliefs, and personal narratives that tell us who we are. But beneath these surface-level experiences, there exists a profound truth that beckons us to see beyond the veil. It is the understanding that our sense of self, our identity, is not something separate, but rather an expression of a vast and interconnected consciousness, far beyond the individual, beyond the personal, and beyond time itself. At its core, this truth is based on the realization of unity. In the cosmic dance of existence, everything is connected. Every atom, every thought, every emotion, and every action reverberates through the tapestry of the universe, touching the lives of all that is. The illusion of separateness, of being a single, isolated individual, keeps us from seeing the deeper truth, that we are one with all. Just as a drop of water is never truly separate from the ocean, you are never truly separate from the vast expanse of existence. The boundaries you perceive between yourself and the world are not inherent. They are the result of your limited perception. Consider for a moment the concept of the self as a river flowing through time. From the moment of birth, the river begins to carve its path, influenced by external forces and internal impulses. But what happens when the river meets the ocean? The water flows seamlessly into the infinite expanse, becoming part of something much greater than itself. In the same way, your individual identity, the I that you hold so dear, does not end at the limits of your skin, but rather flows outward into the collective, the universe, and the very fabric of creation itself. The river and the ocean are not separate. They are two expressions of the same water. This realization, that you are both an individual and part of the vast whole, offers a profound shift in perspective. The sense of separation, which defines the ego, is an illusion. It is a mental construct that you have adopted as a way to navigate life, but it does not reflect your true nature. The ego, with its desires, fears, and limitations, is not the essence of who you are. It is merely the surface layer of your being, shaped by your experiences, your conditioning, and the narratives you tell yourself. Beneath that surface, there is an infinite, eternal essence that is timeless, boundless, and interconnected with all. This brings us to another key concept, the nature of consciousness. You are not merely a body with a mind. You are consciousness itself, experiencing itself through the lens of individual identity. The mind, with all its thoughts, is not the master of your being. It is the vehicle through which consciousness expresses itself in the world. When you identify solely with the mind, with its thoughts and ideas, you become trapped in a limited perspective. But when you realize that you are the consciousness behind those thoughts, that you are the awareness that perceives the world, you begin to shift from a limited, egoic sense of self to a vast, expansive awareness of the interconnectedness of all things. This is the essence of spiritual awakening, the realization that you are not your thoughts, not your body, not your history. You are the consciousness that observes all of these things. You are the observer, the witness, the infinite awareness that transcends time and space. When you recognize this truth, you begin to free yourself from the illusions of separateness, and you start to see yourself in everything and everyone around you. The distinctions between me and you, between here and there, begin to dissolve, and you are left with the profound realization that all is one. But what does this mean for your everyday life? Does this philosophical understanding of interconnectedness and unity have any practical value? The answer is yes, and it is transformative. When you begin to recognize that you are more than just your individual identity, you start to perceive life through a different lens. You no longer see yourself as a separate entity struggling against the world. Instead, you see yourself as an integral part of the great cosmic dance, a wave in the ocean of existence. This shift in perspective brings with it a deep sense of peace, a release from the burdens of egoic striving, and a greater sense of connection to everything around you. The interconnectedness of all things is not just a philosophical concept, it is a lived experience. When you start to perceive yourself as part of the whole, you naturally begin to operate from a place of compassion, understanding, and love. You begin to understand that the struggles of others are your struggles, that the joys of others are your joys. The illusion of separation crumbles, and you begin to live in harmony with the world around you. In this way, the journey to discovering who you truly are, realizing that you are not who you think you are, but so much more, is not just an abstract exercise in spiritual philosophy. It is a way of living. It is a path to inner freedom, to peace, and to profound interconnectedness with all that exists. It is a call to awaken to the deeper truths of life, to step beyond the ego and into the vastness of who you really are. To truly grasp the profound implications of being more than we think we are, we must venture into the realm of metaphor and symbolism. These are the vehicles through which the ancient wisdom of humanity has been transmitted, passing down truths that transcend time, language, and culture. The stories that have been shared across millennia are not mere tales or fables. They are sacred expressions of deeper realities, each one containing clues to understanding the vastness of existence. Take, for instance, the metaphor of the phoenix. This mythical bird, consumed by fire and then reborn from its ashes, speaks to the cyclical nature of life, death, and transformation. At first glance, the phoenix is a powerful symbol of personal resurrection, the idea of rising anew from the ashes of one's past. But on a deeper level, it represents something far more expansive. The phoenix is not just an individual being, it is the cosmic cycle itself, a symbol of the infinite process of creation and destruction that governs all things. The fire that consumes the bird is not to be feared. It is an essential force that allows for the emergence of something greater. So too with our sense of self. The ego must be burned away, not destroyed, but transformed, so that we may emerge into the fullness of who we truly are. We are not simply the individual self we know. We are the ever-renewing consciousness that transcends death, the eternal flame that cannot be extinguished. This idea of transformation through destruction is echoed in many spiritual traditions. In Hinduism, the god Shiva is often depicted as both the creator and the destroyer. His dance, the Tandava, symbolizes the destruction of the old and the creation of the new, a constant cycle that underpins the universe. Just as the phoenix rises from the ashes, so too does the cosmos itself emerge from chaos, only to return to it once again. This eternal dance reminds us that our personal identities, no matter how fixed they may seem, are not static. They are in constant flux, constantly evolving, as part of a larger, never-ending cycle of growth, destruction, and rebirth. Similarly, consider the ancient alchemical symbol of the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail. This symbol represents the eternal cycle of renewal, the concept that everything that is born must eventually die, and that death itself is merely a transition to another form of existence. The Ouroboros is not just a symbol of physical death, but of the death of the ego, the small self that clings to the illusion of separation. To understand that we are not who we think we are is to embrace this cycle of transformation. It is to let go of the false identities we cling to allow the ego to dissolve so that we may emerge into a greater, more expansive state of being. But the Ouroboros also carries with it the wisdom of infinite return. It reminds us that, though we may face moments of destruction and dissolution, there is no true ending. Just as the snake consumes its own tail, we too are locked in an eternal process of becoming, of rediscovering ourselves over and over again. This cyclical process is not a sign of our insignificance, but rather of our boundless potential. To be more than we think we are is to realize that we are both the serpent and the snake, both the creator and the destroyer, the eternal cycle itself. Another powerful narrative comes from the myth of Sisyphus, the Greek king condemned to roll a boulder up a mountain for eternity, only for it to roll back down each time. At first glance, Sisyphus's plight appears to be one of hopelessness, a never-ending struggle against forces that seem insurmountable. Yet, there is another layer to this myth. In his endless toil, Sisyphus is forced to confront the futility of his task, and in doing so, he is given the opportunity to transcend his role as a mere laborer. The struggle becomes, in its own way, a path to self-realization. The myth of Sisyphus symbolizes the human condition, the constant striving, the perpetual feeling of striving for meaning and purpose. But it also points to something deeper. In accepting the futility of the task, Sisyphus transcends it, recognizing that he is not the sum of his struggles, nor the outcome of his efforts. He is the awareness behind the struggle, the consciousness that is eternal and ever-present, regardless of the cyclical tasks he must endure. Sisyphus, in his endless labor, is not just trapped in an endless loop. He is engaged in the process of awakening. These symbolic narratives point us toward a profound understanding of our own existence. The phoenix shows us that transformation is possible and necessary for growth. The Ouroboros teaches us that the cycle of life, death, and rebirth is an eternal process that transcends the ego. And the myth of Sisyphus reveals that even in the most challenging of struggles, we can find deeper meaning and ultimately liberation. These stories invite us to see beyond the surface of life, beyond the illusion of separation, and into the deeper currents that bind us all. They remind us that we are not just the identities we construct. We are the infinite consciousness that underlies the fabric of the universe itself. When we embrace these symbolic narratives, we begin to step into a new way of understanding ourselves, not as isolated individuals, but as part of a greater, eternal whole. The phoenix, the Ouroboros, and Sisyphus are not just ancient myths. They are reflections of our own journey of self-discovery, pointing us toward the realization that we are much more than we think we are. We are not confined by the limits of the ego. We are part of the infinite cycle of creation, destruction, and transformation that is the essence of all life. As we begin to understand the deeper truths of who we are, recognizing that we are not merely our individual selves, but part of the vast, interconnected web of existence, there is a natural question that arises. How does this knowledge translate into our everyday lives? How does the realization that we are more than what we think we are affect the way we live, work, and relate to others? The shift from theory to practice is where the true power of this insight is realized. To begin, it is essential to recognize that the world we experience daily is shaped by the lens through which we perceive it. This lens, our perception of ourselves and the world, is formed by the stories we tell ourselves, the identities we adopt, and the roles we play. When we identify ourselves solely as individuals, separate, isolated, and distinct from the rest of the world, we unconsciously limit our capacity for growth, connection, and joy. Our actions are then governed by the boundaries of the ego, which, as we have seen, is a construct, a reflection of a deeper truth that is hidden from view. By embracing the realization that we are part of something much larger than ourselves, we begin to see life from a broader perspective. The sense of separateness that defines much of our experience begins to dissolve. We recognize that our thoughts, our actions, and our desires are not isolated phenomena, but are deeply interconnected with the world around us. The person you meet on the street, the work you do, the challenges you face, they are all expressions of the same underlying consciousness, the same energy that flows through you. This understanding fosters a sense of unity and interconnectedness, where no one is truly other, but rather a reflection of the same universal essence that you embody. When you begin to experience life in this way, everything changes. You start to approach your relationships, work, and interactions with a new sense of awareness. Rather than seeing others as separate individuals with their own agendas, you recognize them as fellow travelers on the same journey. This shift in perception creates a profound sense of compassion and empathy, allowing you to move beyond the surface-level differences that often divide us. You no longer view someone's actions or words as personal attacks or offenses, but as expressions of the same underlying human experience. In this way, the realization of interconnectedness frees you from the cycle of judgment, criticism, and separation, replacing it with a deep sense of acceptance and understanding. In practical terms, this shift can be seen in the way we interact with others. Imagine the next time you encounter someone who triggers frustration or anger within you. Rather than reacting with defensiveness or judgment, you pause for a moment and recognize that this person is a reflection of yourself. What they are expressing, whether it is love, fear, or anger, is not a personal affront, but a manifestation of the same energies that flow through you. By seeing the other as an extension of yourself, you begin to respond with patience, understanding, and compassion, recognizing that their experience is just as valid as yours. In this way, the realization of your interconnectedness becomes a powerful tool for creating more harmonious and authentic relationships. Similarly, when it comes to our work and the way we approach our daily tasks, this understanding can have a profound impact. The realization that you are not simply an isolated individual, but a part of a greater whole, shifts the way you perceive your role in the world. You begin to see your work, no matter how mundane or trivial it may seem, as a part of the cosmic flow. Whether you are serving customers, writing reports, teaching students, or creating art, your actions are part of the larger web of life. Every interaction, every task, is an opportunity to express your true nature and contribute to the collective energy of the universe. When you approach your work from this perspective, it ceases to be merely a means of survival or an obligation. It becomes an act of service, a way to participate in the greater unfolding of life. You begin to find meaning and purpose in even the smallest of actions, recognizing that your work, no matter how seemingly insignificant, is an expression of the same energy that creates stars and galaxies. This sense of purpose brings with it a deep fulfillment that transcends the need for external validation or recognition. You no longer measure your worth by your success or failure, but by the alignment of your actions with your true essence. In addition, the understanding that you are more than your ego can lead to a profound sense of inner peace and freedom. When you stop identifying with the fleeting, transient aspects of your life, the roles you play, the possessions you accumulate, and the achievements you pursue, you begin to experience life from a place of deep contentment. You realize that your true nature is not dependent on external circumstances, but on your connection to the vast, infinite consciousness that flows through all things. This understanding frees you from the endless cycle of desire and striving, replacing it with a sense of ease, grace, and acceptance. This shift also impacts the way we handle challenges and difficulties. Life, as we know, is full of obstacles, whether they are personal struggles, professional setbacks, or moments of loss and pain. However, when you understand that you are part of an interconnected, ever-changing web of existence, you begin to see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth and transformation. Just as the phoenix must burn in order to rise again, so too must you face challenges in order to evolve. Every difficulty you encounter becomes a chance to expand your consciousness, to deepen your understanding of who you truly are. And perhaps most importantly, the realization that you are more than you think you are invites you to explore your true potential. When you stop seeing yourself as a small, separate self with limited abilities, you open yourself to the vast well of creativity, wisdom, and power that lies dormant within. You begin to recognize that you are capable of far more than you ever imagined. You are not confined by your past mistakes, your current circumstances, or your fears. You are a vessel of infinite possibility, and once you realize this, you begin to unlock the full potential of your being. In the end, integrating the understanding that you are not who you think you are into your daily life is not about striving for perfection or seeking some lofty goal. It is about living with a deeper awareness of your true nature and allowing that awareness to guide your thoughts, actions, and relationships. It is about embracing the truth that you are a part of the greater whole and living in harmony with the flow of life. When you embody this understanding, you move through the world with grace, peace, and a profound sense of connection to all that is. As we stand at the threshold of this journey, having peeled back the layers of illusion and explored the deeper truths about who we are, it becomes clear that this exploration is not merely a mental exercise, but a call to awaken, to shift the very way we experience life. You are not the limited, isolated identity that you once believed yourself to be. You are not confined by the boundaries of your ego, nor by the transient experiences that shape your life. You are a vast, boundless consciousness, interconnected with all that exists, part of an eternal cycle that transcends time, space, and individuality. To realize that you are more than you think you are is to awaken to the truth of your divine nature. It is to recognize that you are not simply a drop in the ocean, but the ocean itself, infinitely vast, infinitely connected, and infinitely capable. This realization is both humbling and empowering. It is humbling because it reveals how small our individual perceptions truly are in the grand expanse of existence. But it is empowering because it invites you to step into the fullness of who you are, to embrace your infinite potential, and to become a conscious participant in the cosmic dance of creation. This is not a truth that can be grasped intellectually alone. It must be experienced, felt, and embodied. It is a truth that transcends words, that can only be understood when you quiet the mind, let go of the ego, and simply allow yourself to be. As you integrate this understanding into your life, you begin to see the world differently. The separation you once perceived between yourself and others begins to dissolve, and you start to recognize the unity that binds all things together. The struggles you face are no longer obstacles to overcome, but opportunities to grow and evolve. The challenges of life become stepping stones on your path to self-realization, each one revealing a deeper layer of your true nature. The more you embody this truth, the more it transforms the way you live. You no longer seek validation from external sources, because you know that your worth lies not in what you do or achieve, but in who you are at your core. You stop chasing after fleeting desires, for you recognize that true fulfillment comes not from the outside world, but from within. You begin to live from a place of deep contentment, knowing that you are already whole, already perfect, and already connected to everything that is. This understanding also shifts the way you relate to others. As you recognize that you are not separate from the world, you begin to treat others with greater compassion, understanding, and love. You no longer view them as competitors or obstacles, but as fellow beings on the same journey of awakening. You see their struggles as your own, their joys as your joys, and their pain as your pain. This interconnectedness fosters a sense of unity and harmony, both within yourself and in your relationships. But the transformation does not stop there. As you step into the fullness of your being, you also begin to tap into the infinite potential that lies within you. You realize that you are not bound by the limitations of your past, your circumstances, or your fears. You are a being of infinite possibility, capable of creating and shaping your reality in ways you once thought impossible. You are not a passive observer of life. You are an active participant, a co-creator in the unfolding of the universe. Your thoughts, words, and actions carry with them the power to shape not only your own destiny, but the destiny of the world. This is the true power of realizing that you are more than you think you are. It is a call to action, a call to step into your highest potential and to live in alignment with your true nature. It is an invitation to awaken from the dream of separateness and step into the reality of oneness. It is a call to embrace the infinite possibilities that lie within you, to create a life that is not defined by limitation, but by boundless opportunity. So, as you reflect on the wisdom shared in these words, ask yourself, what would it look like to live as if you are more than you think you are? What would it feel like to embrace your infinite potential, to let go of the ego's need for validation, and to live in harmony with the universe? The answers to these questions are waiting for you to discover them, to embody them, and to bring them into your everyday life. This is not a destination, it is a journey. It is a journey of constant discovery, of peeling back the layers of the self, of moving ever closer to the truth of who you really are. And with each step, you will find that the world around you shifts in ways you never thought possible. You will experience a life filled with greater peace, love, and fulfillment, because you are no longer living from the limited perspective of the ego, but from the boundless wisdom and power of your true self. The call to awaken is not just for you, it is for all of us. As you step into your true nature, you contribute to the awakening of the world. The more individuals who awaken to their true selves, the closer we come to creating a world that reflects the unity, love, and abundance that lies at the heart of existence. You are not just awakening for your own sake. You are awakening for the sake of humanity, for the sake of the planet, and for the sake of the universe itself. In closing, I invite you to take a moment to reflect on the truth that you are not who you think you are. You are more. You are the universe expressing itself through you. And the moment you recognize this, your life will be transformed in ways beyond your wildest imagination. You are the key to your own awakening, and in awakening, you awaken the world. The journey has only just begun.